A very good evening. You're watching the explosive weekend debate with me, Kritsween Walia. 18 people, including 5 minors, lost their lives after a massive crowd at platform number 14 triggered a stampede at New Delhi railway station. The stampede occurred around 10 p.m. as thousands of passengers jostled to board trains bound for Prayagraj for the Mahakumbh. As authorities kept scouting for reasons behind the stampede, several officials came up with their versions. But before we deep dive into them one by one, viewers, here's what we know broadly. The stampede is said to have taken place on platform 14 and 15. These two platforms were overcrowded due to not just other trains scheduled for these platforms, but also due to a Prayagraj-bound train that the passengers were waiting for. Additionally, the stampede was the fallout of a surge in passengers during the delay of 2 trains, due to which the number of passengers increased at platforms 12, 13 and 14. And these platforms saw a sudden influx, as a result of which 18 lives have been lost. As far as investigations are concerned, the Railway Ministry has ordered a high-level probe by constituting a 2-member committee that has already begun reviewing CCTV footage and gathering evidence. Apart from this, ex gratia of 10 lakh rupees has been announced for the next of the kin of the deceased, another 2.5 lakh for those who have sustained critical injuries, and 1 lakh for the injured. But given that Mahakumbh in Prayagraj is seeing several trains run from Delhi on a regular basis, what led to a tragedy that is being seen as another grim reminder of what happened in Prayagraj just days ago? While there are several glaring questions to this horrifying stampede that has taken 18 lives, it is important to examine the different versions of events provided by key official figures involved. Each has offered its own explanation of what happened, but the discrepancies, viewers, or rather the change in tone and tenor between these statements only adds to confusion surrounding the incident. Let's break down the versions one by one. The version provided by the Railways DCP, the Railway Chief Public Relation Officer and the Delhi Police. The DCP version claims that the overwhelming crowding is the one to have led to this tragic stampede. In contrast, the Railway CPRO suggested that the stampede was triggered by a passenger who slipped on the stairs which were leading to the platform, which then created panic and caused the stampede. While the Delhi Police's statement highlights the presence of Prayagraj Express at platform 14 as a crucial factor. The Railway DCP believes that a platform change contributed significantly to the confusion. The CPRO, however, clarified that, contradicted this account, perhaps unknowingly, by claiming that there were no platform changes and no cancellations of trains. On the other hand, the Delhi Police offered a different perspective, one that, though can be seen in continuity with the CPRO's explanation. Police say the confusion among passengers arose due to unclear or conflicting train names and platform assignments. Now, according to the Railway DCP, delay in the arrival of 2 trains contributed to the crowd surge. In contrast, the CPRO claimed that the surge in ticket sales, as many as 1,500 on an hourly basis, led to this huge influx of passengers. The Delhi Police, on its part, highlighted erratic passenger movement between platform 14 and 16 as a contributing factor. Not to forget to mention that some of these versions, though, are correlated and can perhaps be pieced together to frame a broader timeline on what may have transpired last night. But the stark difference between these versions also underscores the complexity of the incident and does suggest the need for a thorough investigation. This has also sparked some big question, viewers. What explains the sale of 1,500 general tickets on an hourly basis? What was done to control the crowd if multiple trains were running late, given that these platforms were very close to one another? And why were delayed trains scheduled for the same platforms or one adjacent to each other? Why wasn't additional security deployed with massive passenger influx, especially given the number of Prayagraj-bound passengers, as was very clear for one and all? And was the train cancellation rumor, calling it a rumor, part of a conspiracy or result of plain simple confusion? And if at all, the fact that 2 trains starting with the word Prayagraj led to confusion in some of these platforms, why was this confusion not anticipated by authorities? That said, viewers, it's important to stick to facts that have been conveyed by the officials so far, and there should be no room for rumor peddling. Though a lot of politics has also been escalating over the same, with many INDI parties either calling this a failure in managing crowds, some even calling for the resignation of the Railways Minister. We'll decode the facts and try and see where the needle of suspicion points to. But first, the top reactions.
There we have the belongings of the people who were here, and in fact I'm showing you these visuals where what happened last evening.
12 नंबर से चेंज 16 नंबर कर दिया, तो 12 नंबर की पब्लिक 16 पे आई और बाहर की पब्लिक जब 16 पे जाने लगी तो एकदम बच गई पब्लिक। इसके लीटर और जीने पे पब्लिक गिर गई।
प्लेटफॉर्म नंबर 14 पर नई दिल्ली रेलवे स्टेशन के प्रयागराज एक्सप्रेस आने वाली थी, तो एक बड़ी संख्या में लोग प्रयागराज एक्सप्रेस का इंतजार कर रहे थे, प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे, जिनको प्रयागराज जाना था। जैसे ही वो ट्रेन अनाउंस हुई, एक अच्छी खासी संख्या में लोग 14 नंबर प्लेटफॉर्म से 14-15 नंबर प्लेटफॉर्म से फुट ओवर ब्रिज और सीढ़ियों का प्रयोग करके 12 नंबर की तरफ जाने लगे। इसी दौरान ये इवेंट हुआ।
इसका 2 ट्रेन का डिले होना और कुछ एक्स्ट्रा क्राउड और पैसेंजर का फुटबॉल, उसके कारण ऐसी सिचुएशन हुई कि थोड़ी सी गैदरिंग ज़्यादा हो गई।
आप इस तरीके के घटनाओं पे पर्दा डालने का काम करते हैं। आपको लगता है कि जनता की जो खबर है वो जनता के बीच में नहीं पहुंचेगी।
पूरे मामले में आप देखिए, रेल मंत्री जी घटना के बाद भी कुछ मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे, वो बराबर सफाई दे रहे थे।
सब कौन का कोई मतलब फालतू हुकूम।
Allow me to introduce Tuin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP, along with Sujata Paul, spokesperson of the Congress, Arya Ghosh, railway and national security analyst, with us along with former IPS Mr. Vikram Singh. Thank you so much to all of you for taking out your time. My first question is to Tuin Sinha. Given the host of reactions that have come in from the INDI bloc members, we want to keep our focus to what went wrong here, Tuin, but explain to us, you know, whatever version we go by the railways, by the Delhi police, there certainly were loopholes, and all of them being picked up one by one. What explains this kind of crowd? What explains subsequent delays leading to no space for people to move? Forget somebody from the outside coming in and helping them out.
Good evening, Prithwin. Good evening, everybody. First of all, my heartfelt condolences to all the bereaved families, and I pray for the departed soul. You know, what has happened is extremely heart-wrenching for a government that has worked extremely hard in ferrying passengers in the last 5 weeks or so. The death or even the injury to a single passenger is extremely anguishing, and there is no way one can defend it. Now, as per the information that I have from credible sources in the railways, there were passengers waiting for the Prayagraj Express on platform number 14. There was a subsequent announcement that another train, a special train, was ready to depart from platform number 12. There seemed to be some confusion. Some passengers tended to believe that it was Prayagraj Express which was going to depart from platform number 12, and that led to, you know, many of them rushing towards platform number 12, which led to a mishap. Now, we have constituted a 2-member committee, one which includes a chief security officer and one which includes a chief commercial officer. They have already, you know, taken into account all the videos and all the corroborative evidence to figure out what caused that confusion and who are the people responsible for that confusion, so that accountability is fixed and exemplary action is taken. As of today, 2.72 crore passengers have been ferried to Kumbh by the railways in 2,900 trains. Till date, there was no mishap. So yes, what has happened is extremely worrisome. It is extremely concerning and extremely anguishing.
Arya Ghosh, what do you make of this? I mean, given the kind of number of devotees we've seen take these trains on a daily basis, of course, with weekends come a certain, different kind of challenges as well. But the fact that we're hearing, and this is officials revealing that 1,500 general tickets were being sold on an hourly basis. How do you manage that kind of crowd anyway? However many special trains you're arranging, one is going to have to mobilize that crowd as well. How do you ensure smooth movement of these passengers to these 4 trains or 2 trains at one given point? Where do you see was the problem really, sir?
Right. First of all, good evening to all. And even before I get into this, core issue and the contradictory statements and the complexities and the confusion, I am at the onset. I'm appalled that key feature or a vital factor has been ignored till that, and which is catastrophic security breach. Imagine there are thousands of these pilgrims or the passengers that from the platform. It is in a well-known fact that there have been no security check at all. Their luggage is in abundance. So there could have been, explosives as well. So that part has not been discussed.
But by no means, Mr. Ghosh, I mean, realistically speaking, by no means can you have one security personnel deployed for every 10 passengers on the platform, right? So however many security personnel were deployed, this number has far crossed, the anticipation very clearly.
Absolutely, and that is where my point is. The thing is, everybody knew. I don't give two hoots as to who's in care of the governance, who's at the government, who's at the helm of affairs. I'm not related to that. My point of concern is, did the government know the exact number or the probable number of pilgrims that are going to appear? Did the administration know? Yes, they knew. Did the government know? Yes, they knew. So why was it that there have been no other measures that have been taken, like a permanent temporary shelter, at least 2-3 kilometers ahead of the New Delhi station, for them to stay there and then, in a disciplined manner, deploy RPF. And if RPF was not capable of doing that duty, taking that responsibility, then paramilitary staff could have been deployed or army could have been deployed. First of all, I've been repeating on several occasions that the platform, like the airports, should be treated as a security checked area, which you have in airport, wherein you don't have anyone allowed there, even the passengers' relatives are not allowed there. So this is something which it needs to be implemented right away. You have hawkers, from hawkers to destitutes, everybody. It's a free area. This platform is basically a free area free zone for all. So that needs to be changed. And the second thing is, whatever is the confusion, contradictory statements, complexities. I have heard that there was a crowd waiting outside the NDLS station, and there are some thousands.
No, but that said, Mr. Ghosh, don't you also think, and I'm sure you're in the best know-how of how it normally works, till the time the government, the railways has been able to ascertain the ground situation, you just can't throw off a number. You just can't expect clarity from the word go. So, there were so many reactions coming on social media already, but one's got to wait. You can't go wrong with the number. You can't go wrong with facts. So that wait and watch was also justified to an extent, don't you think?
Wait and watch, but the problem is, we all knew as to what's the number. I mean, what's the probable number? That is something which even the grassroots intel level would know. That what's the number of crowd that likely to appear. I mean, the pilgrims from Kumbh or Prayagraj, you would know the numbers, sheer numbers, and then basically most of them are from villages, far-flung places where they don't have any idea about the system. So in any case, there was a shift.
Okay, fair enough. You made a couple of points and Tuhin will have to respond. But before that, I need to go across to the other two speakers as well. Mr. Vikram Singh, now Tuhin spoke of some stats, right? This exercise has been ongoing for weeks now. We've seen the kind of number of devotees who've already made it to Mahakumbh. They've taken the holy dip. We've seen all of that happen. An unfortunate stampede also did take place. And we've seen the opposition rake that to the magnitude that we see them, rake this today. But that said, there are several weekends that have gone by. This exercise was being carried out in a similar manner. Where do you think things went wrong today? The official version coming in is already there were 2 trains which were running late. So there was a delay on part of 2 trains on adjacent platforms. There was a Prayagraj Express. And given the number of people who were wanting to travel to Prayagraj, that assessment was done and another special train was announced. It's a confusion that's led to this. Do you believe that version?
Certainly. Good evening. I certainly believe in that version, that there was a confusion, and that confusion was first confounded by the fact that there was no clarity in the minds of those who were implementing the schemes of how to handle the crowds. To begin with, we began on a wrong note that we had 1,500 tickets being sold every hour. And to say that what happened at Prayagraj on the 29th was a clear indication of the fact that crowds would be overwhelming. And for somebody of responsibility to say that we were overwhelmed by the crowds, I really don't understand what kind of a statement is this from a responsible quarter, that the crowds were, you're not supposed to allow the grass to grow underneath your feet. You're supposed to cater to an emergency and contain the situation. You should have been forewarned and prepared. We have human intelligence, as Mr. Arya said. We have technical intelligence. We have artificial intelligence. We have so much of backup that we should have known and anticipated the crowd is swelling. Somebody said, another version says that the passenger slipped. I would say that you slipped up. There was a slip up in the arrangements, and that is why you come up with unacceptable versions that nobody will accept. A professional person will not accept. This is almost like giving up your responsibility and trying to pass the buck on to another department. The police to the railways, railways to the police, and both to somebody else. That the crowd was so... the crowd does not descend from the skies.
But how much of a role, Mr. Singh, does the police have to play here? I mean, there's the RPF, there's the JRF, etc. I mean, when does the police come in?
Mr. Arya said that it is the primary job of the police. And if the police finds that they are not equal to the task, they get reinforced from the paramilitary. The paramilitary, the home guards, the force multipliers, and they could have done it. The crowd has to be managed. And it's a simple calculation of basic mathematics and an algorithm of management of crowds. And then, if in this area you have selling 1,500 tickets, a platform can hold something around 10,000. With so many platforms, you would have so many. And if there are more, please take pains to identify some nearby school, to have some catchment area, so that you hold the crowds till the time you have trains in position, and then guide them from the front, from the middle, and from the rear in an escorted manner, in a planned manner, to a particular platform. It cannot be a free-for-all. And presuming that it was a free-for-all, where was the CPR? Where was the emergency? Where was the ambulance? I think everybody abandoned his or her responsibility, and then we are coming with excuses that are just not acceptable. My advice to Mr. Tuhin Sinha would be that there are occasions when you have to have action on the basis of prima facie evidence. The prima facie evidence is very much there. And if we were to delay the inquiry and implement on the findings, maybe after a couple of years, well, it is not very reassuring.
Okay, all right. Tuhin, a lot of response on your part that's being sought. But before that, I'll let Sujata come in. Sujata, what's your take on this? We've seen a lot of, fireworks already, politically speaking, over the same. That shouldn't be our focus. But what's your biggest concern coming out of this tragedy?
Good evening, Kritsween, and good evening to all my co-panelists and to your audiences. My heartfelt condolences to all those families who have lost their loved ones or who are injured, and I pray to the Almighty that they recover soon. You know, when we are talking today about this incident, what you clearly see is that on the day the incident happened, preceding that, on the 29th of January, when the stampede happened in Prayagraj, obviously everybody knew that toward the last days of the Kumbh, there will be an overflow, overwhelming overflow of people. Now, were we prepared about it? Were we proactive after what all has happened with the railways? The railway minister might be trying to cover up, but the fact is that a few hours before this incident happened, this massacre happened on the 15th of February, what happened was that there was a safety review meeting, but neither was safety thought about, nor was this really a review meeting, because it must basically have been just a meeting of people. And why do I say that? Every railway station will have a carrying capacity. You cannot allow more people to come in. We have heard other people also speak about it. Now, let me also mention here that there have been 4 such incidents at this particular railway station, New Delhi railway station, this being the 4th one. 13 November 2004, when 5 people died. 2010, 2 people. 2012, 1 adult, 1 child. And this is the 4th one. So that means, what are we missing here? Let's try to figure out what are the aspects which go into looking after the security of the railway. How come so many people were allowed to enter? And if there was an overwhelming overflow, I want to understand what were the people sitting at the CCTVs doing? If you go to New Delhi railway station, you are checked and there is a CCTV system out there. So was it anyone sitting over there? And the moment they saw so many people entering, should they not have stopped it immediately? What is this great fancy that the BJP government has about 1,500 tickets being sold every 1 hour? Now, might I remind you over here that when such a large number of tickets are being sold, when you expect so many people to be coming in, the railway security is in the dock today. One, the CCTV, people who are sitting manning the CCTV are in the dock, and the Ministry of Railways, which is responsible for making sure that people go to Prayagraj, is definitely responsible. So how can the railway minister be excused today, Kritsween? I ask you, without any politics. I will remind you of the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, who, when he was the railway minister and when the Ariyallur train accident took place, he offered to resign immediately, and he ultimately resigned on 7 December 1956. When various other incidents have happened, people have taken responsibility, because if you don't take responsibility, if the department, the government, the minister will not be sacked, what happens is it percolates down to the people in these offices, in the administration, because then they know that if we are targeted, then the minister will get targeted, the ministry will get targeted, so we are safe. And that is why this incident has happened today. And I feel extremely sorry at the reaction of the BJP.
Okay. Tuhin, respond. Also, how is it anybody's fault? You know, those people who are paying from their pockets, they're getting themselves a ticket, they're only moving towards their platform. How is it anyone else's fault here but the authorities in failing to manage the crowds properly? If this was a practice in place, Tuhin, this shouldn't have happened today. 18 lives lost.
First of all, let me reassure you that the 2-member committee which has been formed has not been formed to buy time. It has been formed to fix accountability and with a lot of urgency. So probably in the next 2 days, you should have a conclusive report from them. You know, post which corrective action or post which exemplary action will be taken against the officials, if any, who are involved in the goof-up. Number 2, you know, there was some 2,600 unreserved seats which could not get reserved. The tickets had been sold. And that is one of the reasons why every day, depending upon the unreserved passengers, new trains were introduced. So a train with 3,000 capacity was additionally introduced last evening. But like I said, there was some confusion for an announcement not concerning Prayag.
No, but like Sujata said, Tuhin, even before that, glad all of those arrangements were being made. But there's only a certain number of people any railway station can accommodate.
I appreciate all those suggestions. They are very idealistic situation. But if you travel to Paharganj, probably it will take a few years to implement that. We will have to buy out a lot of additional space around Paharganj, because the kind of cluttered area that exists around Paharganj, there is only so much that the people that there is only so many people who can be accommodated in those areas. But yes, having said that, you know, the agencies over there, the RPF and the police, the railway police should have been more alert, should have been on their feet.
Sujata, I also have another question for you. I know you want to respond, but before I go across to the other two gentlemen, what I do find problematic here is also, it's completely understandable when you raise the questions that you just raised, but how do you respond to a person like Mallikarjun Kharge saying that the government is trying to hide the truth in terms of number of people who've died? Why do we see this one allegation come to the fore time and again? There is so much sensitivity attached to an incident such as this.
Prithween, I'll ask you one question, and there the answer is right there. Has any FIR been registered till now? I want to understand, why is there no FIR? There is a committee which has been formed. The committee will carry out an inquiry. Why are there no FIRs being registered? What is the government going to hide? And you remember yesterday till about 11 o'clock, what we were hearing was that 4 women had fainted. Only difference was that between what was actually happening on the ground and what the railway minister was doing, trying to cover up, or the railway authorities, was that there were visuals coming out from the railway station. So why is the government trying to hide things? Why does the government not take on board the opposition? The opposition is part of this democracy. Let's make no mistake. When we run this country as the government, you have to take people along, and the voice of the people comes through the opposition.
But there's a certain amount of rumor mongering that comes with this statement. When you say the government is trying to hide the truth around number of deaths, it comes with a lot of consequences and severe ones, Sujata.
Prithween, there are visuals which have been carried by very credible news channels where people are saying, and I don't want to repeat it, that this is how things were happening, how many people were dying. This has been carried by news channels. So what do you say about it? That when people, and they are all out there in the public, so why
I'll stick to what I said in the beginning. We'll have to stick to facts, and we will have to, unfortunately, however painful it is, we will have to wait for the investigations to conclude before we can jump to any conclusions ourselves. Doing quickly, and I need to go across to Mr. Arya Ghosh as well.
As painful the mishap was yesterday, I can tell you one thing, that the government has been extremely transparent about the numbers. By midnight, the figure of 15 dead was clearly available, and in the wee hours, the figure had gone up to 18, which is where it is. But I feel very sad by seeing Congress's reaction. It almost seems they wanted more people to die. I'm sorry to say this, but the way they react, every time the way they react, it almost seems that they wished more people had died, which is what makes the Congress party.
Anybody is going to be angered and pained, Tuheen, by the manner in which these innocent lives have been lost. I mean, it goes beyond political parties, I think, today, and there's consensus on that. But okay, Mr. Ghosh. Mr. Ghosh, now to touch upon, Sujata, I need to go across to Mr. Ghosh, to touch upon the fact that was raised by Tuheen Sinha. Paharganj, for instance, comes with its own set of challenges, can only accommodate a certain amount of people. Could these special trains have not run from different railway stations? There are so many railway stations in Delhi, NCR. Or do you think they come with a certain set of challenges? Is why we saw these record number of trains, actually taking off or departing from the New Delhi railway station?
Yeah, absolutely. Because having resided in Delhi, I know Paharganj is a congested area. And I would like to, suggest Tuheen Sinha or any other officials, listening to this program, to pay heed to my two bylines in your media. One has been published on July 03, 2023, and the other one was published on June 29, 2024. If you'd like to take these 2 cents as 2 cents from my side. There I have explained as to how things can be improved, and on the lines of, see, one thing is very clear, all railway accidents, I mean, the investigation part is carried out by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So I have, since I have been in the aviation sector as well, I have detailed there as to how things can be improved. As far as controlling management, management architecture is concerned, controlling a part. So these things, if you have to,
so it's all fair in letter, but it's only, when in spirit we see the implementation of all of these. But I need to quickly, just to be fair, go across to Mr. Singh for the last few thoughts. Sir, 30 seconds to you. So I think you're on mute. If you could please unmute yourself.
Yes, please. in any such arrangement, there's a provision of a contingency plan and an internal security scheme where you cater to all such contingencies. And if you've not been able to cater and foresee, okay, Paharganj may be very congested, Ajmeri Gate is not, nor is Anand as much congested as Anand Vihar, nor is Hazrat Nizamuddin. Where there is a will, there is a way. I, for one, have never felt helpless, and I cater to the worst case scenario. A worst case scenario, when you cater, then you can never be caught on the wrong foot. Here, I feel that the response time and the reactions were absolutely dismal. Sorry to be using harsh words, but you indeed have to be absolutely fair and unsparing in a tragedy like this.
Absolutely. And the large number of people that we see on our screens in these visuals couldn't have just entered the New Delhi railway station in a couple of seconds. Like we've been discussing, surveillance, CCTVs, all of that should have been more intact. So there is a lot that needs to be done. Mr. Ghosh, apologies, that's all the time we have, but we will take this forward and we're hoping of something positive from the investigations as well. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this debate. That's all we could pack for you in this edition. Thanks for watching. Good night.